Have you ever just wanted to smell like alcohol? You smell like you just walked out of the local pub. Threw back several shots of Jameson, no chasers, middle of the afternoon.
It's intoxicating.
We're going to talk about how to do that today. Except, I'm not going to teach you how to drink enough alcohol so that you smell like it. Definitely something you'll regret. Let's talk about a way to do it without drinking a single drop of anything. Although, it's definitely a little bit more expensive than alcohol. Yeah, this one should be pretty obvious. We're talking about boozy fragrances. And typically I would break down what a boozy fragrance is and what the note and ingredients are and how they're used and where they come from and all that. But I think this is one of those ingredients that is pretty self-explanatory, and some of us just want to smell like it because there's ways to do it that are very intoxicating, that are very alluring and attractive, especially for the right scenario. So we have 9 boozy fragrances to share with you, all split up into our 3 categories of accessibility. We have starting. You've never even heard of alcohol until today. Who are you? Intrigued. You've probably already had experience smelling some boozy type fragrances and you're looking to expand and go deeper. And then we have enthusiast. Again, you've been around the block several times. You've done your laps. You got your 10,000 steps in. You know what a boozy fragrance is. You have several in your collection and you're looking to push the envelope. It's such a weird phrase. Push the envelope. I just imagine not a very strong image. Let's move on. So first thing I want to do is get some honorable mentions out of the way. We're going to do this briefly. I'm not really going to describe these fragrances because I want to get into the meat of the video, but these are ones that I could not leave out because I know you guys would be asking me in the comments,
where's this, where's that?
Just know that if your favorite fragrance is in here, it's not because I don't like it. I may not have tried it, but I may not like it, and that's okay. First honorable mention, simply because I've talked about it a lot lately. So I just said, you know what, let me not make it a part of the real video. You can watch many of my most recent videos and you'll see it talked about often. This is L'Humaniste from Frapin. This is such a beautiful fragrance, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Great for the upcoming summertime. We have this fragrance coming from an indie brand known as Lorenzo Pazzaglia. And the reason why this is here is because I don't know it very well yet. I'm still getting acquainted with it. He calls it Vampire Rum. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Kind of a one-track fragrance. Doesn't change a whole lot on my skin. It is a ton of vanilla and rum with some patchouli that makes it a little edgy. That's all I'll say about it because that's all I can really say about it. So more on this coming later. This one people would definitely expect to be here. I don't really love it personally. I like it. It's quite popular. A lot of people talk about it, so you don't need me to really describe it. From Initio, they call it Side Effect. That's all I'm going to say. And this final honorable mention is from the House of Raja Parfum. I have another Raja on here that I like a little bit more, so that one took a spot instead of this one. This one's also quite popular. A lot of people talk about it when they're talking about boozy fragrances, and it's Creation E. I happen to have the Parfum Cologne version of it, which is wonderful. A little bit more versatile than the original, but perhaps a little bit more watered down, if you will. Not really, but some people might say that. It's very unique. It's very wonderful, but let's move on into the list. In our starting category, first one up is coming from the house of Givenchy. This is one of their more recent releases. It got a ton of hype when it came out. People are saying it smells like Dior Homme Intense. I totally agree. If you have Dior Homme Intense, this might be a little bit redundant. Gentleman EDP Reserve Privé. The name is too long, but fragrance is nice. Yes, it is that like leathery, waxy, powdery iris note, almost chocolatey in a way, and definitely quite a bit of whiskey. There is a nice kind of sexy booziness to it. It ultimately dries down to be a little bit vanillic and the booziness kind of fades away. It's kind of supple and sexy, but not really interesting. But again, from a designer house, we can't expect tons of depth and interest all the time. Again, if you already have stuff like Valentino Uomo or Uomo Intense or the Dior Homme line before the 2020 reformulations, I don't think you need this. But if you haven't tried those yet, this could be a contender in that family. Gentleman EDP Reserve Privé. Next up in the starter category might be a little bit more for the mature guy. Not necessarily just age-wise, but just personality, demeanor, how you like to carry yourself and the people you like to surround yourself with and the things you do with those people. This is called Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Very sophisticated, very classy, almost barbershop-like the original, but strips away the freshness. It's still quite creamy and round and smooth. even smoother this time, nowhere near as spicy as well. You do have some creamy sandalwood. You have this fir balsam, so there's this rich resinous feel to it. You do have a liquor accord, so there is a booziness to it. Just a rich, warm sweetness to it, but it's still a little bit dark and quite masculine, and again, very, very classy. Pache de Cartier Parfum. If you haven't tried this one yet, man, please get your hands on it. This is a stunning fragrance, borderline masterpiece. And our final fragrance in the starting category is a niche scent, and it's actually quite a unique one, but I still think that most people could wrap their nose around this. This is from an Italian brand known as Farmacia SS Annunziata 1561. Still don't know if I'm saying that right.
Maybe I never will.
They call it Whiskey Nobile. Very interesting whiskey based fragrance, very, very whiskey forward, like whiskey inside of an oak barrel. A little bit of like grape soda, at least at first spray up close. I get this interesting grape vibe. Doesn't smell explicitly like that, and it's not intended to, and that does fade. And again, that is mostly up close, but I do get that vibe. It's mostly the cacao that's doing that. There is a dry, slightly powdery, more chalky, I would say, chalky, sweet, chocolatey cacao note, mixing with that woodiness, mixing with the whiskey. It smells pretty elegant, but it's also easy to wear. Again, I feel like it doesn't have to be the most dressed up fragrance. You could wear it pretty casually, but it smells like nothing else out there. Very interesting, very particular, again, quite niche, but should be easy for most of you guys to enjoy. That is, I'll just say Whiskey Nobile. Now the intrigued category. You're getting more interested in more interesting things. Honestly, I feel like the Whiskey Nobile could have easily been here, but I'm only going for 3 for each category, and that one is a little bit more accessible than these, I would say. From Argos Fragrances, Triumph of Bacchus, probably their best seller still to this day. This is a rich, complex fragrance that comes together so harmoniously. It's quite sweet and tobacco heavy, almost syrupy in a way. You have apple, you have peach, it's juicy, some saffron making it a little bit spicy, and you definitely have rum. Lots of rum in here when you first spray it on. Ultimately, it smells a little reminiscent to things like Parfum Marly Carlisle, perhaps. Just to wrap your mind around it, some people say Mansura Red Tobacco. I like Carlisle. I don't really care for Red Tobacco, and this is still my favorite of all 3 of them. Very classy, very well put together, smooth, luxurious, worth sampling if you can. If it sounds interesting to you, you can always save some money on a discovery set. Use the code FRESH10, get yourself a little discount. That is Argos Triumph of Bacchus. Let me know if you already have this one and enjoy it, or if you're interested in checking it out. This one was almost an honorable mention because I feel like I talk about it so much, but I haven't talked about it a whole lot, I would say, in my long form videos, so I couldn't leave it out. This is one of my absolute favorites that I've ever smelled, period. And it features rum in the most authentic way, in the most unique way, alongside some earthy, damp patchouli, almost chocolatey in a way. There is some vanilla, there is dried fruits, and a lot of cedar wood. From Killian, we have Straight to Heaven. Some people really don't like this fragrance, and they always seem to comment saying, I don't understand what you like about that fragrance. It's so bad. And I'm like,
that's fine, more for me. Send me your bottle.
I think this stuff is incredible. Again, so unique, smells like nothing else. The only thing that I've smelled that's similar to it came out after it, and it's called Ursa from Tiziana Terenzi. Where do you think they got it? I love to dress this up at night, a little bit darker colors when it's not too hot. Simply intoxicating. That is Killian, Straight to Heaven. Get you a sample if you have not checked it out already. Don't blind buy it, please. Get a sample first. And this next one up, perfectly unisex. Some might say it leans a little feminine, but I've actually seen some reviews from women who say it leans a little masculine, and also not necessarily strictly associated with booziness, although it does have quite a boozy presence from brandy and rum, but mixing with some succulent praline, coconut, even a little bit of fig and some floral jasmine, but a nice sweet woody base. This is from Zaharoff in collaboration with my good friend Andrea from Curly Scents. It's called Of the Immortals. My mouth is watering right now because I sprayed this on a tester strip. That coconut is kind of at the forefront of this, really making it almost tropical, kind of beachy feeling, but in a gourmand way. There is this sticky, rich, dripping honey feel, all inside of this beautiful, rich booziness that I think makes up the face of the fragrance, but as it dries down, I would say the booziness does fade a little bit. Ultimately smells rich, succulent, approachable, intoxicating. All of those alluring adjectives are wrapped up in this fragrance of the Immortals. If you haven't checked it out, guys, again, you might find this a little feminine, but I still think you should try it on your skin. And at the very least, I think your lady, if you have one, is going to love it for her, but she might even love it on you, because again, a lot of women do like more feminine smelling fragrances, or fragrances they might wear themselves, or that are kind of gender bending on you, and that might make you more attractive to them. Just a thought. Of the Immortals, Andrea from Curly Sense and Zaharoff. Check it out. Finally, in our enthusiast category, this first one up here is here because it does have an ingredient that makes it a little bit polarizing, and that ingredient is cumin. Not everybody loves cumin. It can be pretty strong, pungent, almost like BO, kind of sweaty. People always say that. To me, it doesn't smell like any of those things. It's almost a bit of a stuffy spice with a little bit of an edge to it, a little funk, but in a way that is very attractive to me, and wrapped up with so much else. This is Burlington 1819 from Raja Parfum. Lots of rum in here. Boozy, damp smelling rum with a lot of grapefruit, with spices, with woods, with maybe some other citruses. It's kind of tropical smelling, almost like a vacation, but in the classiest way. I would dress this up in no less than a shirt like this, either day or night. It smells wealthy. It smells put together. It makes me smile. I cannot wait to give this more wearing in the upcoming summertime. This is one of my favorites from the house in the past few years, and I wanted to choose it over Creation E because I actually like it more. I find it more wearable. I find it a little bit more versatile. That is Raja. Burlington 1819. Get a sample if you can. Nishane, one of the most outlandishly boozy fragrances I've ever smelled in general. Lots of rum in here, lots of tobacco, almost kind of an incensey, smoky tobacco, almost hookah-like, if you will. Lots of coconut, lots of oak moss, woods. This is Fan Your Flames. Yes, one of my favorites from the house that, ironically enough, I don't wear a ton of it all the time. I find it a little bit situational, which is why I would not recommend you go out and blind buy a bottle of this. Get a sample. It's very unique. Some might find it a little weird. I'm warning you, this is not for everyone. Very strong, which I think contributes to it being a little bit too much for some people. The scent profile is already pretty different, and if you amplify it, turn it up to 11 in terms of strength, that makes it a lot for some people. So sample will do just fine to start with. Make sure you love it. It is one of the most unique accords I've ever smelled. It's like a tropical drink, coconut and rum, like this almost pina colada without the pineapple, inside of a dry, woody, like bowl or cup or stein or something like that, with some smokiness surrounding it, and it is sweet and ambery at the core. Beautiful, captivating, intoxicating, and unique. That's Fan Your Flames from Nishane. And finally, from Amouage, one of the most polarizing fragrances on this list. You got to be grown and confident to really rock this one. Otherwise, it will wear you. You have been warned. Get a sample, and when you do, don't spray it on your skin and smell it up close. You might ruin your first experience of it. I'm warning you. Overture Man. This is so elegant. This is so authoritative. It's so confident. It's a showstopper. It doesn't care what you think. Man. A little bit of grapefruit to lead off, creating this sharp, juicy freshness, but that is underscored by a ton of sweet, boozy cognac with some edgy animalic notes, some smoke, some leather-like notes, woods, resins. It is sweet in the darkest way. It's juicy in the edgiest way. That booziness really gets people's attention in the air, and you don't need to spray too much because this stuff is powerful, as you might expect from the house. Amouage Overture Man. I've been singing the praises of this. I could have made it in an honorable mention, but it's still too freaking good for me to do that. So if you haven't tried this one yet, it is definitely too expensive to blind buy a bottle. Get a sample, decant, whatever, if you can. I'm going to link to what I can find down below, and I highly recommend you do it. Don't waste any more time because this might be discontinued. You never know. Overture Man. That's going to do it for me. I want to know what you think of these fragrance picks in this boozy category. I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I want to know what you think down in the comments below. And if you have yet to try any of these fragrances, they will be linked in the description. I'm going to have samples to everything. So I hope you'll consider trying it and coming back to this video after you try one and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.